Right now, inside every single cell of your body, something extraordinary is happening. Your cells are eating themselves. Not dying, not breaking down, cleaning. Imagine your body as a city. Millions of factories, your cells working 24 hours a day, and like any city, waste builds up. Now, instead of throwing the wasted, the factory dismantles them, melts them down, and builds brand new machines from the same raw material. That's autophagy. And scientists have discovered it may be one of the most powerful processes influencing how we age, how we fight disease, and how long we live. The word autophagy comes from ancient Greek. Auto means self. Phagine means to eat. Autophagy literally means self-eating. This isn't your body destroying itself. This is your body being incredibly intelligent. Think of it like a deep cleaning crew that only shows up when the building is ready for renovation, and their job is renewal. The term was first coined in 1963 by Belgian scientist Christian de Duve, the same man who discovered the lysosome, the cell's primary digestive organelle. He observed cells engulfing their own content under a microscope and named the process. For his work on cellular structure, de Duve received the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1974. But understanding what autophagy was and how it actually worked, those were two completely different things. So in 1988, a Japanese cell biologist named Yoshinori Ohsumi studied yeast cells at the University of Tokyo, something almost no one else cared about. His colleagues thought it was a dead end. He had a question. When a cell is starved and no food coming in, what happens inside? Does it just die? To find out, he disrupted the cell's ability to break down material. And what he saw stunned him. The vacuoles, cells' internal storage bags, began filling up with small floating particles, little bubbles carrying broken cell parts, stacking up because they couldn't be degraded. Visuals of autophagy seen for the first time in history. In 1993, Ohsumi published his landmark discovery, 15 critical genes that control autophagy in yeast cells. Not long after, he demonstrated these same genes and the same process existed in human cells. More than 14,000 proteins have since been cataloged in autophagy research. And on October 3, 2016, Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for his discoveries of mechanisms for autophagy. But what actually happens inside the cells? Your cells are constantly accumulating garbage, broken proteins that have lost their shape, organelles, your cell's internal organs that have worn out over years of use. Sometimes even invading bacteria that sneak in. Autophagy handles all of it. Here's how it works. Step 1. Detection. A signal reaches the cell. It could be stress, starvation, or damage. Specific proteins, including one called AMPK, detect the threat and send an alarm. Step 2. The phagophore forms. A small membrane called a phagophore begins to grow inside the cell. It's like a garbage bag expanding, wrapping around the damaged material. Step 3. The autophagosome. The phagophore seals itself shut, forming a double membrane bubble called an autophagosome. Inside it, everything marked for recycling. Step 4. Fusion with the lysosome. The autophagosome travels through the cell and merges with the lysosome, a bag of powerful digestive enzymes. The enzymes break everything down into basic building blocks: amino acids, lipids, sugars. Step 5. Recycling. These raw materials are released back into the cell and reused to build new, healthy proteins and organelles. This process has been conserved across billions of years of evolution, from yeast to humans. Autophagy is happening right now in your body. At a low baseline level, fasting and other signals amplify it. How fasting triggers autophagy. Here's what's actually happening in your cells. When you go without food or do intermittent fasting, when you eat especially carbohydrates and protein, your insulin rises. And when insulin is high, a master regulatory protein called mTOR gets activated. mTOR is essentially the growth and build switch of your cell. When mTOR is on, your cell is busy building, growing, producing. And during this time, autophagy is largely suppressed. But when you stop eating, insulin drops and energy becomes scarce. mTOR turns off. AMPK turns on. And now the cell gets the signal. It's time to clean. Autophagy ramps up. The cell starts cannibalizing its own damaged parts to produce energy and recycle raw material for survival. So, does 16 hours of fasting actually trigger this? Animal studies, particularly in mice, clearly show autophagy activating after periods of food deprivation. In humans, the picture is more complicated. Measuring autophagy directly in living human tissue is technically difficult. What human studies have shown is the upregulation of autophagy-related genes like ATG5, LC3B, ULK1, and BECN1 in blood samples after periods of intermittent fasting. A 2023-2024 study on participants fasting from dawn to dusk found meaningful increases in these genetic markers, alongside improvements in metabolic and inflammatory measures. But as of 2024, the scientific consensus is clear. Current evidence suggests IF can induce autophagy in humans, but it is not yet definitive. The methods for measuring human autophagy are still being developed. What we can say: something real is happening. The molecular signals are there, but we shouldn't overstate it. As for the exact hour when autophagy kicks in, no one can give you a precise universal number. It likely varies based on your metabolic rate, previous meal size, fitness level, and individual biology. Fasting isn't the only autophagy trigger. Research points to several other factors, like exercise. Physical exercise, particularly endurance exercise, has been shown in both animal and human studies to activate autophagy in muscle cells, liver, and brain tissue. A landmark 2012 paper in Nature by researcher Beth Levine's team showed that mice engineered to have impaired exercise-induced autophagy couldn't gain the normal benefits of exercise, including improved blood sugar control. This suggests autophagy may be essential to how exercise works. Caloric restriction. Long-term mild caloric restriction, eating slightly less than you need without malnutrition, consistently activates autophagy pathways in animal studies and is one of the most replicated longevity interventions in biology. Sleep. Deep sleep appears to naturally support autophagy in brain cells. The brain's own waste clearance system, the glymphatic system, is most active during deep sleep, and autophagy plays a role in clearing toxic protein debris that accumulates through the day. Certain foods and compounds. Research, mostly in cell and animal models, suggests that compounds like spermidine, found in wheat germ, aged cheese, mushrooms, resveratrol, found in red grapes, and curcumin may activate autophagy pathways. These findings are early stage and should not be taken as medical advice. Now the benefits, limitations, and myths. Let's talk about what autophagy research has actually established and where the hype has gotten ahead of the science. What is well supported? The role of autophagy in cellular maintenance and survival is beyond dispute. It is a fundamental biological process without which cells accumulate damage, dysfunction, and die prematurely. Studies in animals across yeast, flies, worms, and mice consistently link enhanced autophagy to longer lifespan and reduced age-related disease. In fruit flies, overextending a single autophagy gene, ATG8A, in the brain extended average lifespan by 56%. In humans, reduced autophagy has been found in the post-mortem brain tissue of Alzheimer's disease patients, suggesting the process plays a protective role in clearing the toxic amyloid and tau protein buildups that define the disease. A 2024 review published in Neuron describes autophagy dysfunction as potentially driving a disease-worsening feedback loop in neurodegeneration. What is promising but not proven in humans? That specifically increasing autophagy through fasting will prevent Alzheimer's in healthy people, that autophagy-boosting interventions will measurably extend human lifespan, and that supplements like spermidine or resveratrol will produce the same effects in humans as in animal models. The cancer question and why it's complicated. In healthy cells, autophagy acts as a tumor suppressor, removing damaged DNA and dysfunctional mitochondria before they can cause cancerous mutations. But in established cancer cells, tumors can hijack autophagy to feed themselves and survive chemotherapy. This dual role means autophagy in cancer is highly context-dependent. This is not a reason to fear autophagy. It is a reason to respect the complexity of biology and be suspicious of oversimplification. Intermittent fasting and prolonged caloric restriction are not appropriate for everyone. For example, people with type 1 diabetes or insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes. Fasting can cause dangerous blood sugar crashes. Pregnant or breastfeeding women, the nutritional demands are too high. People with a history of eating disorders, restriction-based approaches can be harmful. Children and adolescents, still in active growth phases. Elderly individuals with low body weight or frailty, risk of muscle loss outweighs potential benefits. Anyone on prescription medications that require food intake. Fasting is a tool. Like any tool, it can help or harm depending on who uses it and how. So what's the takeaways for the people who just want to live well and age gracefully? First, move your body regularly. Second, sleep deeply. Third, don't eat constantly. Fourth, eat minimally processed food. Fifth, manage chronic stress. So here's the conclusion. Autophagy has been happening inside every one of your cells since the moment you were born. Every time you exercise, every night that you sleep, every hour that your body is given a moment of rest from the relentless intake of the modern world, your cells are running this efficient program of self-renewal. Yoshinori Ohsumi didn't invent autophagy. He revealed it. He showed us a process that has existed for billions of years, quietly keeping life alive across every species on Earth. But perhaps the most important thing, science teaches us that your body already knows how to heal itself. The question is whether we give it the conditions to do so. Don't forget to share your opinions in the comments section. For more science-related learning and content, subscribe to the channel.